Hi, everybody. This is Amy, and we're about to start our latest TacoBout webinar. We have our friend Melissa here with us today, and we're really excited to hear about all of the great things that she's been doing in the STEM world this year in her role as an instructional technology specialist for Waller ISD, which is a school district here in Texas, just right outside the Houston area. So Melissa, go ahead and unmute and make your video there so that we can all see and hear you. And then we have got a lot of questions for you and are really looking forward to talking to you. And don't forget, it's in the bottom left-hand corner. Everybody else who is watching today, there are some of you guys who are online with us live. Thank you so much. Make sure that you have got the chat panel open and that you're looking at the chat, which is ongoing right now, and that you participate in that. Let us know when you have any questions or comments or anything else. Brooke, can you tell Melissa to unmute if you are talking to her on a different channel? It looks like we
I
lost her.
got it. Can you hear
There
me
she
now?
is. Yes, we can hear you. All right.
Sorry, my sound was off.
Make sure you turn your video on too, Melissa, because we want to look at you also. There you are. Okay, look, see how cute she is. See why I had to have her
she
turn
just
her video
appeared.
on?
She waited till we started to get nervous, and then she was like,
That's what it was. She was just trying to freak us out. It's an experiment.
It was for effect. It really was.
Nice job, Melissa. Well played.
You're welcome.
Well played.
What can I do? Just add a little excitement.
So before we have you screen share, Melissa, just to give everybody a little bit of background, because we have all in our circle talked about this before, but I want to kind of give everybody who's watching today who maybe doesn't know you and doesn't know your story, sort of a little insight into why you have really embarked upon this whole STEM thing this school year. So you went to Waller ISD, you learned that in the school where you were going to be working, there was an opportunity for really every child in the school to experience a computer lab experience. And it had been in the past a traditional computer lab experience. And you kind of looked at that model and you thought to yourself, what was your journey from here's traditional computer lab to here's what we really should be doing in this space and with this time?
Well, in Magnolia, I worked in advanced academics, and I worked with a girl by the name of Whitney. And so she started a STEM lab at her school at Ellisor in Magnolia. So I thought when I had this opportunity to come here, I thought, you know what? I can take what I've learned from her to some things I've done in my classroom. And since this is a specials rotation, we can make all kids have access to this experience. Because, you know, in Magnolia, I just had it with my GT kids. And, you know, I would see the other kids peek in, like walking down the hall. And I thought, you know what, this would be so awesome if all kids could experience that. And I had a great leader, Kristen Eckerman here, who's my principal. I asked her, I was like, hey, what do you think about turning this computer lab into a STEM lab? I pitched her my ideas, told her supplies that we needed, and she was all for it. So, and that's how began our journey here.
That is so cool. So, I mean, I just love the idea that every kid's going to get to participate, because it's such a sad thought to think about kids kind of looking in through the little crack and saying,
yes.
why can't I be part of that? I want to learn that way, or I want to use that technology or experience what's going on in that space. And so, that's really awesome that you had that idea and took the initiative to get that going. So I heard that you made a website for us to look at today, and
I did.
that's going to kind of
share
guide
that
our
with
discussion.
you.
Awesome. So Melissa's going to screen share now, and you'll all be seeing that in the big space on your screen. So you can go ahead and do that right now, Melissa.
Okay.
And then at the end of our talk today, we're going to make sure you guys have the web address to this Google site so that you'll be able to access all of these materials and resources and have those at your fingertips, and also be able to share what you've learned today and this site with your colleagues, hopefully, as well. All right, Melissa, we're really looking forward to seeing your site and hearing all about your STEM lab and your journey in STEM. So take it away.
Okay. Well, first of all, I have to say it's our STEM lab, because I feel like it's, you know, the schools have a great para who runs it. So I collaborate with my instructional facilitator, my language arts coach, my math coach. So together we design the lessons that go into the STEM lab. And so I'm just going to talk about what it looks like. You know, this was a room that was filled with computers all around the edge of it. And so we took all those computers, and when I saw those, like, oh, just the possibilities that could happen with this room. We took all of the desks that were aligned along this wall, and the computers were taken out, and we created just some flexible seating areas for kids to come in. My pair is she was great at decorating. Together we brainstormed ideas of what we wanted this to look like when kids walked in. So that's just a little bit about the space that we have. It's a huge space, and it's right in the front as you come in to our school. So you see it and you hear all the laughter and excitement when you're coming and walking into the school. And the kids are really excited to go to this the STEM lab. They go during a special, so they see it every once a week.
Oh, cool. Well,
So,
I mean, it's clearly like it looks like a really fun space to be in. So you said there's flexible seating. Is that big blue thing I see in that picture right there? Like, is that a mat that kids are able to sit on in
yes,
there?
the flexible seating that we have in there are just mats on the ground, and we have a few tables, but we intentionally did not put enough chairs for everyone to sit, because some students learn better by standing, some can sit on the mat, some like laying down and working. That's how I did. You know, you remember when you visited my classroom, you know, it was set up like that. Just kids work best where what they're comfortable with. So that's kind of the same idea that I wanted to take into the STEM lab. And if we look at the challenges, we started off with doing just simple challenges. We wanted kids to understand what this was, because when they came in, they were like, where'd all the computers go? Where did, and you know, we really don't need computers in there, because my school is a one-to-one Chromebook school from 2nd through 5th grade. Each student is assigned a Chromebook. Kindergarten and 1st grade, they have iPads. They're not one-to-one in kindergarten and 1st, but they do teachers share iPads within their classroom. I have a great technology team, Rosa Ojeda. I'm gonna give her a shout out. She's led a great team, and we have a lot of good things going on here in Waller. So that's why I didn't feel the need to have those computers in there anymore.
Gotcha. And also, I mean, is it true that you wanted the space to be about more than just using a computer, but really a space to inspire thinking?
Yes, exactly. I wanted some hands-on learning, because technology is great, but it's used to enhance the learning that's happening in the classroom. And so that's what we did with this space. Not every station that they go to involves tech. It's building, it's thinking about a solution. So like, for example, this was one of the first things that we used to challenge our kids. They were just designing a bridge to support the weight of Jimmy. I just went to the dollar store, got this little lizard, and the kids were like nuts about this little lizard. The girl in the pair that runs it, she went. She's using the lizard Jimmy as like an incentive for the other kids, because they just like having him around.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Turned into
That's
like
really funny.
the class pet.
That's super cool. You know, we're always thinking too about when I just feel like I have to say this, I have learned so much from elementary school teachers since I left the classroom. And as a secondary teacher, I probably would have said or thought, oh, I'm not going to learn anything from elementary school teachers because secondary school is so different. But now seeing the bigger picture and having worked with so many elementary school teachers, I see so many great strategies from elementary school that we really should be applying in secondary school. And I can tell you, I know a lot of teenagers, my son being one of them, and he would definitely want to build a bridge to support Jimmy as well.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Don't
I
we
was
think
about to
too?
say this. Sorry, Jess, go ahead.
No, that's okay, Brooke. Go for it.
I was about to say the same thing. I have a teacher, a friend of mine who teaches ag, and the little small things that he incorporates into his classrooms all the time, because, you know, ag is a totally different world than some of our just mainstream classrooms. And the projects that he has with his students and the little things that he puts in there into his classrooms always make me think, oh my goodness, that's something I totally would have used in my elementary classroom. And his high school students are still just as excited about those things. And I mean, for one thing, he has a plastic dinosaur that goes on all their trips with them, and it goes on an adventure and they tell a story with it. And I mean, there's just some things that our high school students still just want to get their hands on,
Yep.
just the same as our elementary students.
Right.
Yes.
And I think some of those high school students, I think that the secondary teachers often forget that their secondary students don't still have those basic STEM skills that, like the coding skills, for instance, and the engineering kind of tie-ins to the curriculum that the elementary kids are getting. So they think, well, I'm not advanced enough as a teacher to teach those skills, so I'm not going to go there. But I think even incorporating some of the things that you guys are incorporating that might be more appropriate for elementary students would still really hit a note with our secondary kids.
And Jessica, I'm glad you said that, because one of like the 4th and 5th graders are doing applied digital skills. So it's self-paced, so they've been working on it through their own. Kelsey has told me that one of the students, the parent contacted her and said that the daughter was so into making that all about me topic that went home and started working on it at home, like on the weekend, because she wanted to get it done, but she was introduced through that applied digital skills.
Okay, but we have to back up for a second, because I see there are folks that we don't know in our chat today and who may not know about applied digital skills. So will somebody talk for just a minute about what that program is and how it can be accessed by our folks in the chat? And if you guys will talk about that, I will put the links into the chat.
Okay.
Yep, so the Applied Digital Skills is a curriculum that Google has developed that is pretty inclusive of all of these, that term of digital skills is kind of, I would say, nebulous. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah,
It's
for
all
sure.
encompassing. And so a lot of teachers, I was a middle school English teacher, and so for me, I was always like of the mindset, digital skills, that's certainly not something I need to be working on because I'm a language arts teacher. I'm teaching reading and writing skills and all that good stuff. But the reality is that modern day publishing, modern day reading and writing happens on the web, and it happens in a digital platform. So we do need to be incorporating those skills. So Google has done a lot of research and worked with a lot of professionals and brought together resources in ready-made lessons that tie in those, for in my example, those English language arts skills like researching, writing, formatting, publishing online, and brings in the tie-in to the curriculum so that I don't have to do double duty as a teacher. I can go in, I can find ready-made lessons that tie into what I'm already teaching, and then I can deploy those through Google Classroom or through the Applied Digital Skills website directly to my kids. So they're doing something meaningful in my language arts class that's also building their digital skills.
Yeah, very cool. And it's made for what grade levels, Jessica?
I do believe it's made for upper elementary all the way through high school and adults.
And adult, yeah, make sure, the adult learner part I think is really important, especially for our teachers today, is that you understand that these lessons are created for students, but every single time we get in there and we get into a classroom full of teachers and I show them this resource, they're like, oh, this is what I've been needing to understand my own Google skills and G Suite skills. And so it's there also for adult education as well.
Yeah, I think that whenever we've done trainings in the past, and maybe you would know this too, Brooke, that our office staff, our office personnel are often the most drawn to what they can use it for as a learner because they don't often get a lot of PD. So for them, it's self-paced, it's informative, it's small bites. And when they learn about it from us, they're like, oh my gosh, I can learn so much about how to use the Google stuff that my principal's using or that my teachers on my campus are using.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Melissa, you're using that down to what grade level?
Fourth grade is starting it. 4th and 5th are doing it. And so if you want to look at an example later on, when you get this link, you'll be able to look at our first lesson example. I have it there so that way, if you're thinking about and starting this and how do I plan for multiple grade levels, this is kind of like what we started off with, and it seems to work for us.
I think that's great. Yeah, make sure you talk. Yeah, good. She's getting into the engineering design process. And I think that this a lot of times is what, as teachers, when we're looking for new resources, is the how. Like we've heard the idea, we've seen the idea, but it's the where do I jump in? How do I get started?
Yes, absolutely.
That's right. And each one of our lessons, this is what we focus the STEM lab around, like this engineering design process, where they're asking a question, then they're brainstorming ideas, making a plan, creating it, and improving their idea, and then just reflecting on what they did. That's how we lead all the challenges that are within the STEM lab. But I want you to know that, like, you can take this and apply this to the classroom as well, like when kids are working on different activities, because it involves all the you know, it's STEM, the science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I mean, it's even been called STREAM. Add the reading in there too.
Right.
So I
Very
do
cool.
have copies of posters. If you're looking, you know, I want to put these up in my classroom, you can grab that link as well.
And what you're saying is they can change their Bitmoji from your
That's right.
pictures
That's
to
important.
their Bitmoji.
That's important.
That's
So,
great.
so we've been talking about the STEM classroom, but how can teachers take it, you know, look and see what we're doing in the STEM classroom and use it in some of the lessons in your class? So I'm going to talk about some of the things that you can do within your classroom too, if you want to get away from just the challenge-based projects. These projects are a little bit longer. This was one of them that we did when I was teaching, you know, my advanced academic students, but I saw that it could be easily adaptable within the classroom because I had my partner, Whitney. She did this in Klein, and she did like a school-wide cardboard challenge. But it's basically the same. You start off with that engineering design process, and you just let kids make that plan. We had paper. We didn't use computers all the time. They had to sketch out their idea, measure it. How long was it going to be? And then just a lot of guessing and checking when they're building and constructing their arcade, because this was an arcade challenge. It was Kane's Arcade. We used that video to introduce it to the students, and then we took them through that engineering design process. And then our outcome is each student, they worked in teams, and they had these arcades where we opened the library, and the students from the whole school got to come and play their games. It was amazing, and the kids liked it. I had parents come in and walk through the games and play the games with the student. It was a great showcase to show all their hard work and learning they had done through the course.
That is such a cool
really
idea.
cool. Yeah, especially if you think about, you know, connecting your contents, your interdisciplinary grade levels. I know when I taught in 6th grade, one of the best projects that we did that was kind of along this idea of integrating all of the grade levels is, even with this activity, is we took our 6th grade classroom material, and then we invited our nearby elementary that was next door to come over and be the audience for our students' work. So that way they had an authentic audience as well. Just like you said, inviting the other classes to come in, inviting the teachers, the parents to come in and play their games. If they have to have that showcase piece. They have to have the audience to come in to interact with it so that they understand, hey, who their audience is. And also, it makes it really real life for them. It makes it tangible. It makes it feel like success when it's all done.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, Brooke, because that was one of the questions, like, who is this game geared towards? That was one of the things they had to think about when they were designing their arcade game. Who's this for?
And you know, something else that the students, especially secondary students, technical writing is a really important piece of their new language arts standards, for instance. We were working yesterday with a group of teachers, and they were using a coding machine, and I kept thinking, man, what are the ways this could really be relevant to my middle and high school English teachers? And one of the ladies in the group said, oh, this is easy. Have the students program something, or in your case, what you're suggesting, Melissa, build something, and then write about it in a technical writing format. So they have to either give the directions or teach somebody else through written form only how to replicate.
That is so true, Jessica, because they wrote directions on how to play. And so I would go and play it based on their directions. They're like, wait a minute, you're supposed to do this. I'm like, well, it doesn't say in your directions. And so they had to go back, oh, we need to add that.
And it's so much more relevant to them than, say, how to make a peanut butter jelly
my gosh,
sandwich.
I was just about to say that. How to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
I just saw a YouTube video of my dad like reenacting his kiddos writing and trying to make the sandwich from it. And it was really funny, but gosh, we've done that a million times. So how much more cool would it be to have to build the game and make it work?
Yes.
Yeah, love this. And if you've never watched Kane's Arcade either, you need to watch it.
Yes, it is amazing.
Awesome.
Really so inspiring.
And that's right there on that slide, right, Melissa?
Yes,
so when they
it is.
recite later, they can watch it.
And yes, and there's some other things on tips like how to bend the cardboard, and I found all those ideas on Pinterest, so it's all out there. You don't have to reinvent anything.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
So Melissa, you have a section down here for classroom management, and
yes.
I mean, if I were watching this and I were a teacher thinking about implementing some STEM strategies in my classroom? That would definitely be a question that I would have. So this is a different style of learning. Everybody's not going to be, sitting in their seat facing forward or whatever. And we know that not all kids are equally motivated. So what would you say about the classroom management aspect of creating a STEM space or implementing a STEM activity in your classroom? What advice would you give there?
Well, I can say it's gonna get messy, but the kids, just to see the kids learning and the engagement that you're going to see on their faces, it's all worth it. I mean, yes, you're gonna have cardboard everywhere. At the end I had little bitty pieces everywhere, but it was so worth it because it didn't really matter because I just saw like how much learning was taking place. It's gonna be loud, but but being loud doesn't necessarily mean that they're not engaged. They're just collaborating. So you have to learn to accept that noise level, and it's not going to be like a level 1 voice level, maybe not even a level 2.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, as a former secondary teacher, I mostly taught later high school years, and if we were in a session right now with secondary teachers, I would expect somebody to say, or to be thinking at least, what's going to happen when I get my most apathetic student in this environment? Is that student really going to participate in this? And so I know that you've worked with apathetic elementary school students.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen happen when the kids who you're most worried about their behavior when they get into this kind of environment?
Well, what I've noticed is it's a different type of learning because it's more hands-on, and some don't work well with others. I've seen that, but you pair them with someone they can work with, or you let them pick. Letting them pick really seems to help too. When we did this type of project, it just automatically, their behavior changed because it's a different interest level because of the activity that they're doing. So I've seen that it actually improves like their behavior within the classroom because they're doing something that's really not what they're used to, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
is what I would say. It's a different type of learning.
Yeah.
Like
So you
positive
have to.
disruption.
Yeah, I'd also
Mm-hmm.
like to throw in there when you think about, even though this stuff, a lot of this is not just all every single day on the
Mm-hmm.
technology devices that are there, part of that group work does come into your checkpoints. And also the collaboration piece is really vital with like version history of those documents.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know when I talk to teachers in our trainings and we look at this, when I was in the classroom working with these tools, it was so great to be able to open that version history and see exactly which students were putting information in there, who was keeping with the deadlines, who was checking things off. Because without that piece, there is a lot of the he said this, she said that, oh, this is what happened, this is not what happened. And those tools that are built into Google will really help you keep up with all of your documentation and also help with that collaboration piece.
You're right. And the teacher just need to keep in mind they need to be that active facilitator walking around the room,
Yep.
questioning those students and really engaging in what they're doing. You can't be sitting behind your desk or grading papers. You have to be like in the moment with the kids, when you do these types of learning environments.
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we just keep taking you
Yeah.
off your flow that I know you created for today. So go with the flow, Melissa. What
Okay,
are
go
you
with
going
the
to
flow.
teach us next?
Okay, digital storytelling. So this is using technology. Well, we use technology as far as creating our end product with this one. One of the things, the hook that I gave for my students was, we talked about how learning is different. Learning can be like on the go, and how are they going to learn on the go? So I introduced them to a podcast channel called, I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen because I really want you to see this. This is called 6 Minutes. It's for students. It gives like 6 minutes of a podcast, and then it leaves them like hanging at the end.
Ooh,
like these
That's really
kids,
cool.
yes,
Yeah.
it was. They wanted to learn more. They were like, oh my gosh, can we listen to another one? I had them going into their classrooms, and their teachers like, give me the website. They want to hear more. What is the website? So we listened to the 6 minutes. So it kind of gave us the hook for what I was leading into. And then I found this podcast preview free, where kids listen to the podcast and then they give I guess telling what it was about. So that way, if other students want to listen to it, it just gives them their ideas and helps them organize that. but 6 minutes was awesome. My kids loved it, and it went into the classroom. Teachers were using it as a reward. If you do this, then we can listen to 6 minutes.
So
Oh,
it
cool.
just gives them the beginning of the podcast. Is that what you're saying? 6 minutes, and then there's no ending, and they can recreate
Yes,
the
it
ending.
leaves
They
a
build the ending.
yes.
Awesome.
That's really cool. I love the fact that you said that other teachers were coming to you to get the resource.
Yes,
Because
they were. It was
yeah,
it was a neat thing because we were like, it wasn't just happening in my classroom. The kids were taking it outside of their classroom and wanting their teachers to do it with them, and they were. But ultimately, I wanted to get across literary elements, and so I wanted to do some creative writing with the students. So that was kind of just the hook that I had for them. If you look, I have the lesson on how this worked. We went through a podcast and what it was, and then we got into the genres. So I created this tour builder that took them through the different literary elements. And so they went along this tour, and each time they would click on below and they would learn. Do you see where it says click here? That would take them to a learning site. Like maybe I had made a video, I had found a video of what adventure was about and what the characters were like within that adventure. So they would go through this tour builder, and then at the end, this is where they began to start creating their own podcast. So once they got into that, I did assign them a planning guide, and they had to choose which genre that they wanted to create. But this was great to incorporate just writing, and then peer editing with other students. So I've never seen kids so excited about writing, because in the end, they used a video to produce their stories. And I have some of the videos present here. We created this whole podcast channel, but I use YouTube. It's not a right or wrong, I found YouTube worked for me because I could share it out. I did, one of the directions was if you could just put one picture in the background, because we really talked about how we need to let them have create their own vision of what the story is about. So I did let them put in one, because I'm not going to say no to that, They're creative. They're being creative. So yeah, that's how that worked. And I had one student, I made these QR codes, and I started putting these around the school because I wanted teachers to go and look at their podcast, and go by and scan them. One little boy said, his mother told me, she said, "How much paper do we have?" And she's like, "Why? We have a lot at home." He goes, "Well, because I want to make a QR code and paste it all around the school so we can get more likes and subscribers," even though it was under my accounts.
That's
And they were
awesome.
really watching that. They would go on and look at their videos, like how many likes or comments that they had.
That is the world we live in today, isn't it?
It is.
is.
It's so
Yeah.
true. Yes, it
And I
is.
saw, I got the email today, I'm sure everyone did, that now there is some COPA regulations inside of YouTube. So you're going to start labeling the video as if it's intended for children. So that's
Oh,
going to help with some of
wow.
the YouTube filtering.
Yeah.
That is good. Yeah, that was one thing that I did do. I sent out a Google form, and I got permission from all my parents to put their work, because it's their work, to put online. And so everyone was pretty receptive, and I put it on my account so the kids can go back and view it, because I wanted it to stay there for them to go back to.
Melissa, do you have any other podcasting tools that you've worked with or that you like, other than, YouTube's really great and you can use it for all kinds of things, including podcasting, but any other recommended sites? Have you ever used Anchor?
I've never used Anchor. I use Podbeam. I use that
Podbeam.
because it's great, because there's an app on my phone that I can just record from my phone and then post it right away. If I don't want to edit it, if I think it's okay, good to go the way it is.
Are you saying Pod Beam?
Bean.
Or Bean?
Bean, like BEAN.
Pod
Oh.
Bean. All right, I'm going to put that in the chat. So that's because I know your kids have been doing podcasting for a long time.
Yes.
And that's the tool that you started out with, right?
Yes, that is, but I wanted something, I thought, something for the kids. I couldn't figure out way to put it on Podbeam with, with the recording aspect. And we had gotten WeVideo, so I was like, this is going to work. And now WeVideo has where you can just drag the audio. That came out like after the fact, but
And do you guys have the paid version of WeVideo?
we do here, and I purchased like so many accounts in Magnolia last year.
Okay,
But yeah,
cool.
the kids do have it here, and so I'm really excited to get to. I really want to share this lesson with my teachers, and to see what we can create. We have a unit coming up, and I'm kind of going along the same way, so I'm hoping we can create some of these.
I think we really could have called this a STEAM
You're
webinar
right.
instead of STEM, because I really do see so much of the arts integrated into what you're doing. Yeah, very
You're
cool.
right. And Jessica asked about that. I was like, oh, well, we call it STEM, but it could be STREAM.
Yeah. So I think we could have gone the other direction, but anyway. All right. Well, tell us what's next in your list, Melissa. I just can't wait to learn more.
Okay, so
Financial. Okay, I'm so
financial
glad you're going to talk
literacy.
about this because I love how you teach financial literacy.
So this was brought when I worked in Magnolia as a third grade teacher. Lauren Frenzel brought this to Magnolia. And what it is kids are just learning financial literacy by actually building a company and creating a project. So if we look, so we start off with, they're all assigned jobs within their group, and they earn money just by coming to school. And that's how they earn money for their business. With the earned money that they have, we did get a lot of products like donated, like a lot of like arts and crafts. And really, I went and cleaned out like my craft room and brought all of the stuff. And so I just set up a little shop, and they would use their money to purchase some of the items within the shop. We did have an online design school that we created in KidBlog, where if they wanted to go to send their designer to design school, they would pay like $5. And then this had like how-to videos. If they just couldn't think of a product, they can go to design school and then watch a YouTube video.
But they had to pay to do it.
Yes, because it was design school.
Love it. I love it. That's so okay.
Really
now, remind me if I'm right about this, Melissa, because this is what I think I remember you saying that I thought was such a brilliant aspect of this, because I know that financial literacy was a year-long project for your students. Did they not have to hold back enough money throughout the year to attend a special event?
Yes. Well, actually, the classroom management, I took what we did for financial literacy because it was like a 2-month project. And I took what we did as far as the ledger, and I thought, why can't this be applied like all year round? So the next year, after the first year I implemented this, the next year I started making my classroom revolve around financial literacy, and they had to earn money with, just for coming to school. And then they can earn money by outstanding performance bonuses, whether they're making connections in class. And so yes, at the end of the year, if they save their money, my partner and I, we did like a pie in the face. And by the way, oh gosh, that's do it at the end of the day if anybody does that. And then we did like a water balloon toss or fight or whatever. And it's so sad. I was like, Sherry, we should just let everybody play. She's like, no, only the kids who say them right. I was like, you're right.
That's a tough one, but I love it because I mean it's one of the most real world lessons I've ever heard of, because that is so hard for us even as adults to look ahead 7 months from now and think, man, I can either buy this piece of candy or whatever thing from the toy chest now, or I can save my money so that I know I have enough in the end. And then they were also doing predictions. If I can come to school every day, how much will I have?
Yes, they were.
What if I get sick? Do I need to leave myself a little bank in there? So what if I get the flu and I can't come for a week? Were they having conversations like that?
You know what? But they were planning ahead. You're so right that you brought that up. They were planning like, they would like, I have enough money to do this. You could tell who the big spenders were, because as soon as they got $5, they were buying that little tag to wear. It had things for like chew gum, wear slippers. And
Brooks, like
I didn't manage any of it. I had leaders in my classroom that managed that. They were in charge of all that. The only thing I did was, I don't even know. I just set it up. The kids ran it.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. And they kept that ledger throughout the year. They were responsible for tracking their finances, right?
Yes. And it was like an honesty, we did have to talk about how to be honest, but I had the leaders. They were in charge. Every time they would buy something, they would make sure that they were subtracting money out of their ledger in the morning. And, you know, kids are going to tell the truth. They're going to tell them, you didn't buy that, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's not right.
Well, and you
Right.
know,
Right.
an extension that I've seen used in middle school classrooms is Classcraft. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, yes, I have heard about
Yeah,
that.
so you can set up your own money system in Classcraft, and the kiddos can save their points, which are money, they can spend them and all that stuff. So it kind of introduces that concept of credit and that digital money spending. It's pretty,
Is that the one
that
that's
is
like the
neat.
game-based thing?
it is. It kind of reminds me of my husband. It's got a Skyrim kind of quality to
Okay,
it.
okay. I'm so
Yeah, I've
glad you
seen
said
that.
that.
I am
Um,
too, because that's a good way to introduce it to older kids
yeah.
too.
Yeah, I had not even heard of that until this summer, and I did a session in San Antonio ISD on classroom management. And part of it, we were kind of brainstorming different methods people had used. And high school teachers were actually telling me that they had had a lot of success with that tool, with Classcraft, even in I think there was an Algebra 1 teacher there who was
Yes.
using that. So it's all the way up through high school. You can use that tool.
Yeah, and in fact, if you
Awesome.
go to their website and just look at like the how-to videos, how to get started, all that stuff, a lot of the examples are in upper secondary classrooms. So it kind of puts it in real life context of how it would look like in a classroom if you're teaching middle and high school.
Yeah, and if
Wow,
you're
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's a great alternative for someone, you know, for the older
Mhm.
kids.
Well, and also if for our secondary teachers, there's also lessons inside of applied digital skills about
Nice.
financials, and they can use that, and they can use the conditional formatting lesson for sheets to go with that one, so that they could do some of those predictions skills with using conditional formatting with their class points as
That's a
well.
great
That
idea.
is a great idea.
Well, and those, don't forget, you guys, that Applied Digital Skills is completely free. It's available to you out there. I put a link in the chat to our particular link to Applied Digital Skills. So I hope you'll visit using that link. But once you get there, you can set up classes. It's kind of like Classroom, and you can assign lessons. So it's amazing what's already done for you.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Okay, what else do you have for us, Melissa? I know
Well,
she's
I know
getting
you're
there.
thinking, oh my goodness, okay, this is a lot to
No.
create. I don't have the time. But let me tell you, I found a gold mine. Actually, you know, someone told me about it and I looked into it. So look at these awesome Google resources. Okay, so this one that I found is called the Chromebook App Hub. And in this App Hub, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. But this has like different ideas that people have already put into it. You can search for an idea, look at the subject, the learning goal, and if you click on in one of them, this is the one that I guess it's front, maybe because I clicked on it last, but anyway.
No,
So
I
when
see
you,
it
No,
there too,
it's
oh, you
actually.
do?
there.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe it's a popular one.
It is really,
Mhm.
it's very popular. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because it's awesome.
Yes, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm doing this right away. Okay, so anyway, if you go through this lesson, she gives you an overview. By the way, she's the writer of Hyperdocs. If you have
Right.
not read that
Yep.
book, it is very a lot of great ideas. But anyway, within here, it gives you like how to be successful on the lesson. It even this is what I like too. Look at this. Check this out. How to differentiate instruction with this lesson within your classroom.
That's
So
Very
awesome.
any
cool.
special accommodations you need, she gives you the resources to get started. You know, when I was investigating this, iMomming is just, it started in Europe just as a way to plant these googly eyeballs like all around stuff, and just a way to make people like smiles like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. But what happened is teachers were taking this and making it into a writing lesson using perspective. There is this guy right here. He does a YouTube video talking about how he used it in his classroom, and how the kids went out and placed these eyeballs all around school, and then they went on a scavenger hunt to find them, and they each just sat down and started writing about what that particular object was saying or thinking. So I did plant a few around the school.
That's awesome.
That's so fun. Very fun. Thanks, Lisa Highfill, for that lesson.
I
Yeah.
This is great. I'm so
know.
pleased
Yes.
with this.
It
I th-
is. And And thanks Google for making this Chromebook App Hub because,
Right.
oh my gosh, it's like so many resources on there for us
Yeah.
because
That's awesome.
teachers are busy. I know
And
that.
I know we
Yes.
have a few people on the chat that I saw that were from Austin, but I know that one of our learning guides in Round Rock, Mary Ellen Yonker, she does quite a bit with the eye bombing as well.
Oh,
So,
does she really?
mhm,
Oh my
so,
goodness. I'd love to
so there
see
may
what
be
she's
some people
doing.
on the chat that have heard of her and have seen her presentation on that. So I know that that one is really popular.
Oh, wow. I'd never heard of it. How come no one told me about this?
Nobody told me either, Melissa. It's just me and you out there not knowing
Oh
what this
man,
was.
don't get Amy started.
This is a trouble of my life. People not telling me
Look,
things, Melissa.
Hey,
I totally feel your
I
pain.
pick
so
and choose how much a day everyone needs to hear
Mm-hmm.
communication
I
from.
know. No telling what you're withholding right now that
You
I needed.
open up that portal, you're going to be like, never mind, Brooke. I've had enough for today.
hey,
Never.
Elizabeth Levine is one of our participants, and she's raised her hand. So, Elizabeth, if
Oh,
you want
okay.
to type your question in the chat, or your comment, or your whatever it was you want to add to the conversation, we can elevate it from there. So we
Awesome.
can move forward. I just want to make sure
Okay,
Elizabeth
all
gets her
right,
question
okay.
addressed.
And the other site that I want to talk about is the Google for Education Transformation Center. This is a site. It's also the same as the Google, uh-oh, let me move, my little tools are getting in the way of, well, okay, I'm just gonna click on it. So here it is, it works the same way. This is what I was attracted to, you know, because I've worked on getting my level, you know, 1 and 2 certification, then I became a trainer, and you keep thinking, okay, well, I've gone this far. What else, you know, should I keep going? And so I started looking in, what are these innovator projects? So I started looking into them, and they are projects that Google innovators have shared. Uh-oh, looks, okay, here it is. It's projects that Google innovators have shared, and I came across this one called Class Bridges. And I'm going to go back to here because I can get to it better. And in Class Bridges, an innovator made a way for teachers to connect around the globe. So you go in to find a classroom. So I'm going to find a classroom, and it takes you to this map. And you can just go on and search what you're looking for, like what kind of language did they speak, what's the time zone, and like say, I'm gonna go ahead and click on this one right here. So if I click on this school, it's gonna tell me information, how to contact them, what grade levels, what subject areas, their email, their Twitter. So if I wanna make a connection with them, I can email, and guess what?
You did,
Our
You
didn't you?
school,
did.
yes, we did. I saw this. I was like, oh my gosh. I ran to my 4th grade teacher. I was like, hey, you want to do like a meet with another classroom? And I just said, just say yes.
Because you know what? I know you. You had already set it up. And then you were like, oh man, she said, yes, now I got to go find somebody to actually do this.
So I emailed a few schools. I heard we did make a connection today with Haywood Avenue School in Orange, New Jersey. We just did this today. Our school shared Texas symbols with them, and they shared them with us. So it was a great way. The
So
principal was so
cool.
excited. She sent
That is
us a
cool.
video of what the school looked like. We shared a video of what our school looked like. And so I'm hoping that this is going to be like a bigger connection that our school will have. And look at this little boy. This is one of our teacher's son.
So
He sure did
cute.
represent Texas well, didn't he?
Yes, he
We
did.
did.
And now
So
all those
cute.
kids in New Jersey think we ride horses to
Yes.
school every day and things
He
like
did
that.
such a fabulous job. I was so proud of them. And the
Way to
teachers.
perpetuate the stereotype.
That's what she said. That's what she said. She said his
Yeah.
teacher told him to wear that though.
Oh well, you got to do what your teacher says.
He
It
looks
was
adorable.
so cute and so amazing. The kids just did a great job. And those teachers, oh my goodness. I just shared the idea and those teachers just took over and they started going back and forth. And that was my hope. I'll get them started. You go run with it. And they did that.
I
You know what
love
I'm
that.
thinking about with this strategy with connecting is that in high school, the students have to do, you know, a lot of project-based application of things. Like in physics, you have to build things and you have to work through problems. It would be really interesting to connect with kids across the world that are doing similar projects and then just kind of see how they work through, because the way we teach math, for instance, in this country is different than the way we teach math in other countries. And so learning from one another about how they're solving through those similar problems, you know, as far as the design of a roller coaster, for instance, that could be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could
and I
be,
also
for
want to
sure.
make sure that we talk about how important that website Classroom Bridges is, because you have to be very careful about using social media connections that you may
Yes.
make, because you can't, even if someone says they're a specialist, they're a dentist, they're a doctor, they're, you know, you have to be careful who you bring by video, especially live, into your classroom. So
Mhm.
it's really important to make sure that you're making these connections and reaching out to people who are vetted and
Mhm.
are in some of these resources like Melissa's showing here, because you definitely don't want to invite someone in your classroom that you wouldn't let through the door. So you don't want to let them
Right.
in virtually as well.
Good
Yeah, you're
point. Good
right. You're
point.
absolutely. I do feel safer about this. Last year, there was a teacher that reached out to me from India through Twitter, and I was just standing at the computer. I was like, just in case, just in case, just in case.
Yeah.
But it went great.
Yeah.
Okay, I
So,
want to turn your attention for just a second
mhm.
because we have a great question from
Yes.
Elizabeth. So as you started this particular room that we started off talking about today, this makerspace STEM lab room, how did you figure out what supplies to buy, and like what was that list that you gave your principal initially? And Elizabeth is not the first person to ask this. I've actually had this question sent to me before, and I didn't have a very good answer for anyone.
Okay, so I just graduated from Lamar, and so we have a group on Facebook, and maybe I'll have to get y'all that link as well. But there's a teacher that runs a STEM lab in up in New Jersey area. So she was actually the one that gave me the list. She had a list in a sheet of different things that they put in their STEM lab. So I just kind of went through her list and picked and choose which ones that we wanted to put in, because as you see, everything that's in there, our school purchase, our principal had some funds left over, so I like came in at the right time when she's like she had some
Yes,
money to spend. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I can spend
I'll
money.
take it. You
So
can, you can.
yeah.
So would you be willing to share that list on
Yes,
this
yes,
website
I
too?
will.
And would
Because
you?
it is all about making those connections and reaching out to someone who's done it,
Right,
Yep.
you
right.
know.
Well, what about the budget for this? I mean, was it like under $1,000, under 2,000? Or do you not want to
Well,
tell us? What
well,
let me ask this question in a different way. If I have $500 and that's all I have, can I get started with a makerspace STEM lab that has some meaningful supplies in it for $500?
for $500, you can get started with some things. That's a good start. But there are free resources out there everywhere. You just got to know where to hunt for them.
Yeah.
You don't have to put a lot of money. Yes, we had some money to spend, but we could have done it. I was going to do it anyway. I was going to find a way because there are a lot of free resources. Just like, for example, I went to y'all's Anywhere school yesterday, and just like taking trash and creating like a musical instrument just with trash,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
then, that's great. What did we look at? The pitch and the sound and how that worked. But it's just all that problem solving and teamwork that's involved. It's more than just creating just that trash instrument. It's all
right.
the things that go with it.
Hey, it
Mm-hmm.
took us weeks to collect that much trash and
And
to
when I
walk.
saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm starting off in this one because I loved it. I was like, I hope they have enough tape for the next group.
I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
also say I went to a really good presentation at a conference one time about a guy who's doing a wonderful job having a lab with his high school students. And he has partnered with Home Depot and some of the local businesses to provide items for his STEM lab. And one of the things that he's using is letting the community come in and use the tools in the space after hours for a
Wow.
certain period of time. And the people who come in from the community have to pay per
Mm,
hour of the space that they use. And sometimes they come in on Saturdays and Sundays to use the 3D printers and to use their tools and their saws that the district has purchased. And then any money that the outside community pays to come in to use that lab, then the students get to use to buy more materials for their projects.
oh, it's
Yeah,
And I
no,
thought
smart.
that was just genius
it
That is.
is.
That's
it
really
that
smart,
way.
And if you
especially if
have
you had
most,
power tools.
yeah,
Right.
Yes.
and most schools have math manipulatives. That's all you need. That you can go so far with using those tools.
Those
Blocks.
counting bears can be used for anything.
They can.
Well, and you know where else is a great place to pick up stuff is at the end of the school year when you have teachers moving classroms or
On
when
the
you have
free
teachers.
table.
Yes, you just start and also starting like an Amazon wish list and sending it out to your PTO or to your parent groups that are working in your classrooms, because they'll throw in, like what were those kits we used yesterday?
Calliope.
Those Calliope. I always say it wrong every time. And they're like a $40 tool, but you can do a lot of really interesting things with it. And you only need one or two of those. So,
Right.
you put that on Amazon. You say, hey guys, if you want to buy me a gift at Christmas time, here's some great stuff for our classroom I'd love to get. Instead of, another gift card to Starbucks, which I'm not going to knock it. I love them, but.
Right. Like, I don't know. I want the Starbucks gift card. Not to be selfish or anything.
I'm not a coffee drinker, so when I got those, I gave them to my daughter, and she was like, "Oh, you got another gift card. Thank you."
Well, you could re-gift those to us next time, Melissa.
Yes, Jessica Powell will take those.
Yes, she
All
needs
right.
them, definitely.
But I'm so glad you
Okay.
said that about parents bringing it, because when I did the cardboard challenge or the financial literacy, I needed all of those craft things, and I just asked my parents, and they did. They were more than willing to help. Anything for the kids that the kids are going to be doing in the classroom, they will help you.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, we have about 9 minutes left. Let's say 8, because I want Jessica to tell everybody how to get a certificate who attended this webinar.
Mhm.
But I see that the last link on your website on the left-hand side is school culture. And I already think I know the answer to this question, but I'd like your more in-depth answer. I feel like when you put this makerspace STEM lab at the front of the school, that more things changed outside that room than even changed inside that room. So what has happened as a result of this space being created?
Well, you are correct, because I'm in a fairly, I guess, new position here with Weller ISD. I'm an instructional technologist, so I am helping organize that STEM lab, but then I'm also here to go out and help teachers like implement different lessons within the classroom. So some are involving technology. How can we use those tools more efficiently, because we are one-to-one school? So I have teachers creating like differentiated playlists. We had the Skype, the Hangout today. So they are really trying different things here, and I see them like my students. When they get excited, I get excited with them. One of the teachers, well, there's a lot of the teachers here, like they become like my students, and I just want to go by there, and they invite me to come into their classroom. So it really reminds me of a lot of having my classroom, but now it's just a bigger space. And that the school culture is something that my friend who's a principal at Springtown, and Kelly Jones, she and I work together to create like shout outs. It's a digital shout out using Autocrat, and so teachers just fill out a form, and they give the shout out for the teacher. So my principal will receive the shout out, I see the shout out, and the person who they sent it to see, and then we just hang them outside our door. But like, I think it's just the culture here is just so amazing. Everybody's so helpful, and they think highly of each other, and they just want to learn, and they want to grow. That's what I'm saying. And I know it comes from leadership. It comes from the leadership that I have here in Waller ISD.
Well, Melissa, you don't give yourself enough credit, but I'm going to give you some credit, because your personality is so wonderful that everybody wants to be around you. They want to work with you, and I mean that so sincerely. You get all of us excited about learning.
Aw, well, thank you.
You're welcome. You really do. All right. So as we're wrapping up, I want you to make sure everybody knows how to get to this website, and we're also going to put it in the chat down here. So if I go to http://melissa.tools, do I get there?
Yeah, or you could just type in melissa.tools.
Yeah, Melissa, if you want to unshare your screen, I'm going to share on mine so they
Okay.
can see this nice and big as well.
Okay. Got it? Oh, here it is. Sorry.
There we go. All right, and I'm going to share mine so everybody can see that as well.
Melissa.tools. Got it.
Thank you, Brooke, for helping me make that.
Yeah, that looks really cool. All right. Brooke, will you tell us also about the summit that we have coming up in Melissa's school district?
Woo-hoo!
If people want to learn from her face-to-face, this would be a great opportunity to do it. And I'm sure she would be glad to do a session on STEM labs, maker spaces, and now I have just forced her into presenting that, so you're welcome. But you've already got it done. Why not? You might as well go ahead and do
You're
it.
right.
Great, yeah. So we're going to be putting on a Google Summit in Waller ISD on February 22nd. And we have presentation proposal time is now open. I think someone is working on putting that in the chat, hopefully the link to the presentation portal. And what we would love is we'd love for anyone who has any great idea, something that you want to present, something that you want to share, you can come and join us. Also, we are going to have a great full schedule. We've already had some really great proposals that have been submitted, and you're going to be seeing those teased out very soon about what you can find and what you can see and who you can learn from, including Melissa. And we will be there just supporting all of our favorite G Suite tools, and we would love to have everybody that can get there be there.
I already have someone in mind that needs to present too for my school. Crystal, Vincent, get ready.
She just totally shouted you out.
You just did to her what I did to you. I love that. Brooke, if you refresh that, is the web address for the site on that slide? I thought Jess said she put it on.
Maybe that's what happened.
All right, there we go. So if you go to friEdTech/Wagoo, like Wahoo.
There we go.
Then you will be getting to that main website, and you will see the presenter, be a presenter, up at the top right in the links up there. So that's where you can apply to be a presenter. And if you want to do that and we accept your presentation, you will also be getting a free ticket. So that's a good incentive to present too. And it is February 22nd, 2020. Yep. So hopefully we will see you guys there. Would love to see you there.
Make sure just make sure that you follow us on social media, because you never know when we're going to throw out some promo codes and some discounts and maybe bring a friend. And so make sure you follow us at friEdTechnology anywhere on any social media channel so you can see those as we get closer.
Yes, that is such a great point.
Yes,
all right, Jess, you were going to share with everybody how they can get a certificate for this webinar for our folks who have stuck with us here live.
Yes. So if you're watching this live, that means you registered for this event. And if you're watching right now, it means that Zoom captured you as an active participant. And so after this webinar concludes, I will be sending you with the email address that you registered for this webinar with, is where you're going to receive your certificate of attendance today.
Awesome. Okay, you put up another slide there for just a second that had some secondary links on it that we want to leave everybody with today.
Yeah, you know what I'll do? I'll set this slide deck in that email that's sending out with their certificate so they can get to these resources. But as Melissa moved through some topics, I went ahead and plugged in just some other resources that correspond to things she spoke about with secondary in mind.
Great. That is awesome. Well, Melissa, thank you again so much for being our star today. You did not disappoint, and I know that everybody really appreciates the ideas that you brought and also the enthusiasm that you bring with them. So thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to share. You know, I love sharing ideas with others. Should be teachers give teachers.
Right. Maybe that needs to be your web address. Teachers.
Well, at least the high
I will say the Hyperdot girls already have that.
Yeah, they did.
But you know, Melissa, you have a really good face for webinars, and your voice is like really good on camera. So I just want to point that out. You have a future for webinars.
Ooh, okay. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video.
No more podcasts for Melissa. She needs to be on video too with that red lipstick.
Yes.
My lipstick.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Awesome. Well, Melissa, thank you so much. And thanks to you guys who joined us today. And look for that email coming to your registration email address. And I think that's it for today. So
okay.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, everybody.